Your objective is to find and kill assigned targets. Avoid.
Hey there ninjas, this is Pegasus177 and welcome to week 2 of Assassin School. If you were with us last week, we touched on the proving grounds, as I like to call them, which is simple deathmatch, learning the basics of the game, a few tricks and tactics and a few things that you need to know. This week we are moving on to a new game mode. It is Wanted. We are also going to look at the default ability sets. We are going to touch a little bit on building your own custom class ability sets as you progress through the levels, and the right perks to take, right abilities to take, and how to best utilize them. First of all, let's talk about the game mode. This game mode is Wanted. Wanted varies a very large bit from Deathmatch. One of the main differences is the map size. Deathmatch only uses a portion of each map, whereas Wanted uses the entire map. Another big difference is, if you can remember last week I told you that your picture in the top right hand corner was your target, and the frame around this lit up blue whenever your target was in your line of sight. Now the difference in this game mode is that you get a compass. This compass always points towards your target. As you get close to your target, the compass meter will fill to say that it is in your area. When your target is in your line of sight, this compass will shine bright blue. It is then up to you to figure out which person is your target. One thing you have to remember about this, that is a huge difference from Deathmatch, is that there are plenty of multiples of your character. In Deathmatch there was only one of each character, and that was your target. But if you see your target, it may not necessarily be them, it may be a multiple copy or an NPC as they're also known. Now Wanted also varies a little bit in the style you play. Remember last week I told you in simple deathmatch it is good to kind of be a little bit concealed, don't let yourself be seen too much. But because this map is so large, you will have to cross a lot of area and it will require you to run a little bit. The same rules still apply though. You are building points, that is the intention of the game. Use it to your ability as best as you can and make use of everything around you. Try and build up those varieties, try and get extreme variety, and just add up to the points as always. Now one difference and one thing that is huge among this game mode compared to simple deathmatch is that extras are added to this. These come in the forms of abilities and perks. I am running default ability set 1. Let's talk about that a little bit first. Now there are two default ability sets. Default ability set 1 uses disguise, money bomb and throwing knife. These to me are extremely effective, especially for free-for-all modes. But the second default ability set uses wipe, it uses tripwire bomb, and it uses disruption. This is more of a team game build. I would use something like that for manhunt, or I would use it for something like artifact assault. I would not use it for a free-for-all game. It is not very effective. Let's talk about best ways to use these perks or abilities. First of all, let's talk about disguise. Disguise can be very useful in game modes. Disguise makes you look like an alternative character. If you stand in amongst lookalikes and you use this, it'll make it harder for your target to pick you out. It'll also make it very hard for pursuers to spot you, and you may get a lure for them killing a lookalike. As you can see, he just used money bomb. That is the second perk. Money bomb basically, if you throw it on the ground, makes all NPCs run over to pick up the money and leaves you standing solo. This is a great way to pick out your target from a hidden group or from a bunch of lookalikes. And the final perk that you are using right here is going to be your throwing knives. Throwing knives are extremely effective. If you throw a knife at a character, it slows them down and leaves them a little bit immobilized. This is also very good to use as an offensive and defensive tool. If you want to slow down someone that you are pursuing, you can throw the knife at them and it will stop them in their tracks. Likewise, if someone is coming up to pursue you and you throw a knife at them, it injures them, but what it also does is it ranges their access to you. What I mean by this is that the range of how close they have to be to kill you is cut in half. This means that you can get relatively close to them and stun them without them being able to contest or kill you. This can be extremely effective, and if practiced very well, you can use this nearly all the time to stop a pursuer in their tracks. One thing you have to remember though is that abilities have a cooldown time. You have to let your abilities cool down. It is always good to try and get away, but the NPCs can be very useful for this. All you have to do is blend in with them, and you can stay hidden from anyone and give your abilities a little bit of a time to cool down. As you can see right here, I'm using this hidden group because my abilities were not available to me. Did not work entirely to my plans, but it was able to secure me 100 points. Remember that each game mode is different, and with that, the way you play the game will have to change and alternate too. You will have to adapt to overcome each different kind of game mode. For example, Wanted is on scale 4 times roughly as large as a deathmatch lobby, and if you remember last week I told you in deathmatch, do not run if at all possible, always try and walk around the place. Well, in Wanted you are going to be required to run a little bit. Because the map is so big, you will have to cover a lot of ground just to keep up with the scoreboard. Utilize your surroundings, like I'm using this blend group right here, especially if you hear whispers. As you can see, this guy behind me is completely confused and he is about to kill the wrong person altogether, and he has just picked me up 100 points and given me my greater variety just for something as simple as confusing him using NPCs. Use your abilities as best you can, use them as well as you can, practice with them and try and improve your skill with them. You will not be able to counter all abilities with the default sets, unfortunately. It is going to be up to you to deal with certain abilities. For example, a smoke bomb. As you can see about here, I'm about to meet a smoke bomber. Smoke bomb unfortunately leaves you pretty invulnerable, and there's not much you can do until you build a custom class set and get something like an animus shield. This is just something you're going to have to live with. Just recover from it and try and move on and keep up on the scoreboard with that person. I also expect that after last week you have probably become a little bit more seasoned with the game and starting to recognize the little things. Remember I told you to keep track of who is in the lobby? Well, now I want you to start keeping track of something else. Always try and keep track of who's using smoke bomb and how often they've thrown it. Remember that there is a long cooldown on smoke bomb. Even if it is a crafted ability, it still roughly has at least a minimum of 60-second cooldown, so always be aware of this, and remember that you can now approach that person for roughly 1 minute if you get them as a target, and you will not have any fear of being smoke bombed. Just always remember this, keep it in mind. I know I'm asking you to remember a lot of things while also concentrating on the game, but this is roughly what it takes to get good at this game. You really need to be concentrating on all elements of the game, trying to remember who has done what, who has what, and who is playing a certain way. This is what will get you to win. It'll help you win games, it'll help you concentrate more on games, and it'll keep you focused and always make sure that you keep the competitive edge over your other opponents. Remember guys, one point that I may not have touched on enough in the last episode is that points. When you're in a situation where there is a pursuer and a target around, it is always better to go for the target. There's always going to be worth more points to you. If you can get into a situation where you can stun your pursuer and still get your target, then by all means do so. Remember, it is whatever the situation, it is up to you to adapt and overcome. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about building your own custom classes. As you progress from level 10 to level 20, a lot of abilities will become available to you. You'll be able to buy them and they will be unlocked. If I had to suggest any class to build on, I would suggest building a decoy, morph and throwing knife class. I would use 6th Sense or something to that effect. 6th Sense is great when you start out because it will identify notorious pursuers to you. The decoy is great because it can always lure someone in. That's 100 points off the mark if they kill your decoy. And at the same time, if you run up within 8 seconds and stun them, then you will also turn that 100-point lure into a 300-point bonus for the stun, and you may even get a 50-point for the chain. The morph is always a great ability to use because it allows you to make sure that you always have multiple copies around. This will always provide you with a bit of cover, somewhere to hide and keep yourself hidden. And the knives, obviously the knives can be extremely effective, especially against pursuers. You throw a knife at a pursuer and it will stop them dead in their track, allowing you to free them to stun them. Remember the range thing guys. If you use a knife on someone, you do not have to go completely up to them. Their range of mobility will be decreased, which means that they have to get closer to you to kill you. So all you have to do is just walk towards them slowly and start mashing the X button before the knife wears off, and 9 out of 10 times you will get the stun. Outside of that, guys, there's not really much else to talk on. We are going to move on from this again. If you don't like that ability set suggestion that I came up with, you can always alter it, guys. There are plenty of other ways you can use it. You can get Glimmer. Some people may prefer to use Glimmer, some may prefer to use other items. As for perks, I would probably suggest using a mixture between kill buffer, cooldown, probably a good one is blender when you unlock it, and I would also probably suggest Sixth Sense. Any of those 4 are pretty good to use and can be pretty effective as a perk. And as a death loss streak, there is one that allows you to automatically see your target immediately after dying. This is pretty useful if you are on a 5 death streak. Or there's also the minor animus hack, which allows you to kill one person immediately when you come back after a 5 death streak. These can be extremely useful. Okay guys, I hope this has helped you out. Hope this is really helping you out. If it is helping you out, let me know in the comment section below, and also by hitting that like button. Thank you for watching again, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. If there's anything you want me to touch on next week, then please let me know in the comment section, and I will do my best to include it in next week's video. Thank you as always, guys. Take care and get out there, start assassinating.